Okay. All right. So what I wanted to do is just take a little bit of your time tonight just to talk a little bit more about the virtual gym. I have some notes to refer to, but mostly just wanted to open it up for any questions that you guys might have. Hopefully by now you've seen the live stream that I did in the team page, whenever that was. I think it was last week sometime. If you haven't, definitely check that out. That's where all of my sort of vision for the virtual gym lives in that live stream. So I didn't want to have to like repeat myself with you guys tonight on that. Hopefully you've already seen that. But real quick, I did want to just address one other thing, which is I have heard from so many of you individually about your goals for 2019. And I so appreciate and value that you have sent them to me and that you trust me to look at them and help you navigate them. And hopefully as a team, we'll have more clarity after Wednesday night's webinar. I've been putting together content for that and just sharing sort of our vision as a team for this year. But just so that you guys know where we are so close to just what I would consider to be a breakthrough for our team. We could wake up any Thursday morning as a 9-star qualifying team. So, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily like, within grasp. You know what I'm saying? Like we're so close, but yet so far. And so, so the goals that you guys have individually align with exactly where I'm hoping that we're headed. But the number one common question, I guess, that I'm getting is people saying, here's my goals for this year. I'm making this happen. It's non-negotiable. Please help me. But I'm having trouble breaking down my action items as to figuring out what it is I need to be doing on a daily or weekly basis to make these goals happen. And Chris and I kind of talked about this a little bit tonight over dinner. And the truth of it is really that regardless of what your goal is, whether it's income related or rank related, or if it's related to elite or premier, regardless of what the end goal is for you, what your primary goal is, the number one activity that you can be doing is recruiting. The number one activity. And that goes for myself as well. So because this is a sort of a higher level conversation, this is not a team call. This is who I would consider to be the leaders of our team. I think I can feel safe to tell you that shooting for 3 to 4 coaches a month, treating that as a non-negotiable, just like you would treat Success Club 5 as a non-negotiable or Success Club 10 as a non-negotiable, like really heading into the year saying, I'm recruiting 3 coaches non-negotiably, is that a word? Every month, like right for the entire year. So it's possible, like the first year that our team hit elite, it was a foreign concept to me to recruit 3 to 4 coaches a month. But as soon as I made that sort of shift in my head, right? Like just like you do with Success Club, making the decision that you're going to hit Success Club no matter what, it's the same thing. Like deciding in your head that you're going to sign 3 to 4 coaches a month is really just that simple. It's a decision. So I think that is going to sort of help all of your goals fall into place, right? Like whether it's elite, premier, income, rank, whatever. Recruiting and building your teams is definitely going to be the primary driver of that. And that actually segues perfectly into talking about the virtual gym because I literally just had this exact conversation with Chris. I wanted to run through all this with him before. He's sitting in the room too. He's working on his school stuff, but he's listening. I wanted to talk this stuff through with him too, just so that I could kind of practice and make sure I covered all my bases, because I want to make sure I communicate to you guys what I'm wanting out of this. But the number one thing we started to talk about tonight was, we said, let's take a look at sort of when our team was most successful, right? So if we look at 2014, 2015, 2016, sort of like it's really like a 2.5 year span where we were just momentum crazy, right? Like we were seeing a lot of momentum in the business. And the number one thing that we both reflected on was the fact that we really were recruiting what I would consider to be, well, let me just clarify. What I consider to be large numbers of coaches to our team would not be what Ashley Molstead considers to be large numbers. So that's just a point of clarification. But for our team, what I consider, you guys know, I consider our team to be a quality over quantity team. We had pretty impressive numbers in the recruitment category. So I would open my Coach Online office on Thursday mornings, and it would not be foreign during those years to see anywhere from 11 to 30 coaches a week joining our team, right? It was crazy. Now, typically in the last year or so, I've been seeing like less than 10 coaches per week join our team, if not less, right? So that is one definite difference that I can point to and say, okay, when we were crushing it, this is what I was seeing. This is what I'm seeing now, right? So that is by far number one. So then if we take that and we reverse engineer that one step back and we say, okay, well, what led to that? Like what led to us being able to, sign more coaches? And I should also say we had record numbers of success clubs, success starters. So many success things in this business. So we had so many success starters, right? So we would have coaches coming in, but we also had a pretty good number of coaches wanting to work the business and wanting to pay it forward and hitting success starter, right? Getting that call with Carl, getting their free summit ticket, all that kind of stuff. So we had recruiting and onboarding working in our favor. We take that a step back and we say, what was causing that, right? Was it just because we were talking to more people? Were we saying something different? Was there something different about the business that allowed us to recruit more people? I don't think so. I think that the difference was that we had an onboarding system that was exceptional at the time, which was our website, which at that time was brand new, having like a Coach Basics training on there that we could plug coaches into. Having those monthly coach internships, right? Like that whole, I'll just call it onboarding system that we had was successful. But we also had a challenge group system that was successful. And 2014, 2015 into 2016 was sort of the DVD era, right? So 21 Day Fix was a huge program for our team. When 21 Day Fix launched on DVD and Fix Extreme, those were huge. And so our team sort of became known as like the 21 Day Fix wheelhouse team. Like we just systematized the crap out of 21 Day Fix. Like we had a challenge group system that worked. And so let's reverse engineer that one step further and say, okay, well, what led to that sort of awesome challenge group system? And to me, what I think set us apart from every other coach in the network that was offering challenge groups was we had a very unique vibe and tribe feel, right? Like our team is very, very different from most. And this was proven to me this week. If you guys saw Katie Kelly's video of her doing Turbo Fire, I have gone back to that 3 times now. I think it's hilarious. It's just a video of what Shalene looks like doing Turbo Fire versus what she looks like doing Turbo Fire. And it was funny because I commented on her post, and then later that night, the other day, I went back to it to watch it again. And I saw where like 11 or 12 people that commented all said the same thing, which is, oh my gosh, this is totally me. And then I did sort of a double take and realized that like 90% of those people were people from our team. So what I'm getting at though is that like attracts like, right? Like we are definitely not the, gonna have a full makeover, spray tan, hair stylist type team. Like it's just not who we are. And so we are, however, I think very real, very authentic. We have a certain vibe about us. And I think that came through really well in our team-led challenge groups. It came through well in our 21 Day Fix system that we had with leading customers through that. So why do I share all that, right? Because I think that's what we're missing now. We have sort of gotten away from that. Now, the few little glimpses that we've had into trying to recreate that have been successful. Our 80-day obsession launch group last year, one of my favorite things I've ever done as a coach, right? Like those 80 days were fun for me. Having so many people that were so into that, want to even just, that felt like they wanted to be part of our tribe in some way, to the point where they went and bought the shirts, right? Like that sort of feel and that community vibe is how we thrive as a team. And it makes sense that the last 2 years, we've sort of just been like swimming through murky water, like trying to figure out like what it is that we can do that can kind of keep up with the Joneses in the business, right? We've done the sneak peeks. We've done the live Zooms and all those like random things that other coaches tell us are successful for them. And they don't typically work that well for us. And so what I'm getting at, of course, is that the way we've been doing things versus the way we have done things, I think we have to make a shift in some way. We have to make some sort of decision that what we're doing isn't really working. Okay, so that's point number one. Like what we're doing, whether it's on an individual basis or a team basis, isn't necessarily working very well, right? So let's go back to the principles of what made us successful before, right? And so that's my reasoning behind wanting to move forward with the virtual gym and really feeling excited about it, because I feel like this is something that only we could do. You know what I mean? Like really feel confident in that. So what I'm hoping to get, what I'm hoping that this virtual gym will serve, and like I said, I don't want to repeat myself from the other day, but I really think that this is going to be a great way for, number one, and I'm referring to my notes so I don't forget, using language like in our marketing, because at the end of the day, we're marketers, right? Like we're marketing to people to buy something. So the familiarity that people have with gym language works in our favor with the virtual gym, right? So constantly inviting to challenge groups, having to work through the objections of what's involved in the challenge group. And honestly, the biggest issue I see with what we've been doing the last year or two with challenge groups is that they don't promote residual Shakeology drinkers. They don't promote true lifestyle. We treat it more like, I need to hit Success Club. I need 3 people to buy this. I want people to then check out this 6-week Lift 4 program. And then I'm going to move on and find 3 new people next month, right? And so it comes back to this high turnover of clientele, which is less income for us. And so in my opinion, the virtual gym, number one, first and foremost, there's a sense of familiarity in language. When I first decided to promote the virtual gym through my email blast and my social, the messages that I've been getting and having, the conversations that I've been having are so much clearer than they have been for years talking with people about challenge groups. And I am someone who has built a brand around being someone who runs constant challenge groups, right? So having people reach out and say, what's this going to entail for me to be a subscriber long-term, right? After the first month, what cost am I looking at? Like I have been getting that question from pretty much everybody. And so for me to be able to have the conversation with someone up front and say, this is what it'll cost you to get in, right? To do it for 30 days, see if you like it. Should you continue on Shakeology or Performance Line, you will have access as long as you continue those products or product. And when I'm talking to them about what we're hoping to do with this, right? Like the live classes, the stuff I'll get to in a minute, all the different things that we want to do and serve, really I'm not getting very many objections and people understand, right? Because the truth be told, when I own my gym, especially this time of year, when people decide they want to belong to a gym, they pretty much just hand you their credit card and say, I want to belong. This is what I want to do. I need to make a change. Help me, right? What's this going to cost me on a month-to-month basis? And that's, in my opinion, a question we want challengers to ask us. What's it going to cost me to work with you for the year? Or what's it going to cost for me to work with you for 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, right? And so why would we continue to promote something like a 21-day program or a 30-day challenge group when we're almost asking for no residual? We're almost just asking for them to just buy something right now and work with me right now, but not necessarily deliver results. Now, here's what's happening as a result of that. As a result of what we've been doing, we're not seeing good recruiting numbers. And to me, it makes total sense, right? Because these people aren't being encouraged to be residual consumers. And that lifestyle piece is not being addressed. So number one, my favorite thing about the virtual gym is that the concept itself has a familiarity of language with the gym language of subscription or membership that I think really familiarizes with people, customers in the long run. Number two, it will increase our chances of residual Shakeology. So having somebody committed will increase the chances of residual Shakeology, which, as you guys know, means higher income for us and a greater likelihood that they may want to convert to coach or VIP member or whatever the case is. The other another small thing that I like about this is I was thinking about my challengers from the 80-day obsession group that we had. And I was thinking I had like a crazy sales month last January. I think I brought on maybe 15 new customers. And of the 15 that were in our 80-day obsession group, maybe 5 or 6 of them graduated the program. So less than half of them finished the 80 days. The rest of them, if I'm being completely honest, sort of just drifted away. Like some of them went on to try something else. So what I like about this is it's not program specific. So if someone decides that they want to do Transform 20, perfect. There's going to be other people doing Transform 20. But if it's not for them, if they're like me and they have a panic attack in the middle of Transform 20, then they can decide, okay, I'm going to try PIO or I'm going to do something else. And there's going to be people there to support them for that too. So I think as much as we want to initially run to the cons of not having something program specific, I think we also need to look at the pros of having something non-program specific. So I don't want to talk too much. I have one last point to make here. So I made a list of sort of all of the different things that I'm hoping that this virtual gym will offer in an organized manner. Most of these will end up being classified into units, but then some other things too. So number one, live classes. I know some of you had asked questions about the liability thing. I sent out a message to my liability insurance person and I have not heard back yet. They sometimes take a couple days. So hopefully I will hear something. If not, I will call them. But I know for right now, Laura and I are both certified for virtual, so we can at least get started soon with she and I. But that's something that I'd like to just offer on some sort of rotational basis, whether it's like, yeah, go ahead. Do you have a question?
No, I was just going to add to that really quick. I've been looking into a lot of the details of virtual teaching because that's primarily what I'm planning on doing. And like Claudia Alfrick is one of the master trainers in our area, and she actually went into detail on some of that stuff. There is, just so that you guys know, anybody that teaches live in a studio or whatever, it's different music for virtual, yeah, and there's different rounds for virtual.
Yep.
So know that as well. I think she said, though, that the round for Court of Force is signature round, and it is for most formats. Mm-hmm. They are going to come out with more virtual rounds as they get going with this, but the music is different because of well, there's a couple different reasons, but it's mainly like Facebook would cut it off, and then there's licensing issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I just wanted to share that really quick, just so that
I think
people
it was I can't remember if it was in the Insanity group I'm in or the P90X group I'm in. But Cam actually made a post about how they're working now on more music for the virtual rounds. So that's going to be growing as we go. Yeah, I love that. So live classes will be a feature of this, but not a sole feature, right? That's not all it is. It's not just a Facebook group where we're going to host live classes. But what I was also thinking, and this is something that Chris had brought up right when I told him the idea, I'd like to have it be a place too where we could do what I guess you would call live Zoom accountability workouts. So if there are people that are saying like, I'm the 5 a.m. club, right? Like I work out at 5:30 a.m. They, if it's a coach like Jackie, let's say she works out at 5:30 a.m. She says, I work out every day at 5:30 a.m. Here's the Zoom link. If anybody else is working out at that time in the morning, please join me live. I don't necessarily think it has to be the same workout. I don't think Jackie has to have it streamed or whatever. I think it's just more like, hey, let's all hop on a screen like this for accountability purposes and crush our workout at 5:30, right? And I'm thinking multiple steps down the road too of how cool that'll be to see sort of the additional layer of support there that we don't currently offer. And sort of that, it just reinvigorates that whole sense of tribe, right? That whole sense of support. So I love that idea too. So having like live Zoom accountability calls for workouts, or even for meal prepping. Like I'm committing to meal prepping on Sunday at 2 p.m. and I'm going to go live on Zoom showing myself in the kitchen if anybody else wants to hop on for accountability, right? The meal plans, trying to come up with an idea in my mind of how often I want to put out new meal plans. I'm probably just going to stick to Portion Fix constantly because most of our programs jive with Portion Fix. So meal plans, sneak peek workouts. I think I might've said something about this on the live stream, but like when Transform 20 is about to release and like when we had a little obsessed or whatever, anytime there's sort of those like sneak peek workouts, Getting folks together to try those together is going to be a great way to encourage sales of those completion packs when we have new launches. Recipes and tips, motivation, form and technique. After Laura's video made me realize we probably should have a unit on modifications just in general. So I think that'll be a no-brainer as well. And then sort of thinking as far as like, not just content, right? Not just units, but sort of overall feel. I think it'd be really cool to have, if we decide we're going to do live classes on Saturday mornings, like every Saturday morning, there's going to be some sort of live workout. I think it'd be cool to say, live workout at 9 a.m., followed by, once a month or twice a month, we do like a live Q&A about what it means to be a coach on our team. And I think that fits our style more, to just be like really open, really authentic about it, answer questions, sort of present the opportunity in this setting after a live workout, right? Like that makes more sense to me than the scripted events on Facebook. So Super Weekend, right? Like heading into Super Saturday this weekend, super perfect platform to be able to showcase what we're doing at Super Weekend. If we're all in a little group together working out at Indiana sorry, Laura. If we're all working out together at the the Super Saturday workout, or we're all heading up the Energize table or whatever it is, post a little video or post some pictures in there, right? That encourages that sense of tribe. Like Chris said to me when I was sharing this, he said, the virtual gym really is going to act like an ongoing platform for you, not only to help encourage people get results, but to just constantly showcase what it is we do as coaches, which in my opinion just naturally levels up our recruiting potential. Recognition, right? Like shouting out people whether it's for weight loss or consistency or becoming a coach, or like whatever it is, like having those recognition posts very similar to our team page. Having mini challenges, right? So like a 5-day plank challenge, or, cut the coffee challenge, or whatever it is you want to do. So those are just some ideas of what we can do within the group. But last but not least, because I know this will be a question if I don't address it, I want to sort of tell you what I'm thinking of doing for the current short term when it comes to challenge groups. So the way I see this, we have 2 options, right? Well, I guess 3 options. We can either go with what we've been doing, which is running individual challenge groups, which looks a lot like a coach picks a program. The coach decides they're going to do Lift 4 as their program. They decide on the start date. They start advertising to that program, or they start advertising for people for that program. They fill their challenge group and they lead those people through 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever the case is, right? That's what we've been doing. That's still an option. And that's something that you guys can do individually, that you can teach your coaches to do. That's obviously the Beachbody method. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, don't run challenge groups. Still a critical piece of your business, right? But the way I see this is the virtual gym still serves that purpose. It still acts as a challenge group of sorts. So I think it was Jackie that asked about the wins and how we want to handle that. I personally don't think, this is just my opinion, I don't want to necessarily lump the wins into a unit, because I think that the units need to be resources that people can discover, download, whatever. And the wins that is our content. That's our feed. That's the discussion tab. That's what's keeping the page alive. That's what's building the connections and the relationships. So we can discuss how we want to handle that. If we want to have a lead post every day about the wins, or if we want to just post them freely, we can talk about that. But for me, that would be my personal preference, is to kind of keep the page alive with that, so that it's not just a unit group.
Jenny, I feel like it felt almost more authentic, and I don't say this just because I threw something up there, but I had a customer reach out to me about it too. Just saying, like, I'm rocking my Saturday workout. Who else is doing it? And then people kind of check in under that. And I think if one of us hops on the page and realizes nobody's checked in with a workout that day, rather than kind of that scripted, like, lead post, check in with your win, just a picture of you doing something engaging to get people to kind of check in underneath. And hopefully then some of our challengers might even start taking that lead if they hop on and there's nothing there. I think by not having such a formal lead post, it's
Right.
less intimidating for them. Because I feel like in challenge groups and when we've had team ones, and I know some of us early birds are always like, where's the lead post at 6 a.m.? And, challengers won't necessarily feel like that they have to wait to log their workout and then just kind of forget about it. If nothing's there, they can post. Same for anybody. I just felt like it was a little bit more authentic than that scripted lead post.
I agree. I mean, that's kind of how I roll. Like anytime I run my own challenge group, I don't put anything scripted out there. I just post something each day. Whenever I get to it type thing. So, I mean, that would be my personal preference, but it's kind of, we can see how that goes for now. The last thing I want though, is for it to just be me and Jackie back and forth all the time. So it would have to be like everybody would have to be contributing to that. Right. So yeah, but I like that concept. So the way I see this is, and this is a good segue into more questions, but if we've been doing like what I was saying before, option one being sort of our old school method of inviting to a challenge group, right? If we continue that, what I see as sort of a con to that, not that you shouldn't be doing it, but by choosing that method, I guess what I'm saying, by choosing that method over the virtual gym, by saying, I'm just going to put my residual people in the virtual gym, but I'm going to continue running my challenge groups, and then I'll just put people in the virtual gym, after a month or whatever. I want to address that because I think that maybe there might be a few people thinking that. And I just want to say my thought behind that is, okay, let's take a look at sort of the actual statistics of where we've been. And I guess what I've been hearing, because I do, we do these frequent one-on-one calls. So I do get to hear from you guys, areas of struggle. And the one thing that I hear from you all the time is, or that I don't hear from you maybe, is that recruiting isn't going well. And so then I have to say, okay, well, why isn't recruiting going well? And my first question usually to you on a mentorship call is, why isn't it going well? Like, you should naturally be having people in your challenge group that want to become a coach or that you've planted seeds with about becoming a coach. And so if that's not happening, then we need to reverse that recruiting step back, right? Like we just did, like I just went through with you. And we have to say, well, what's not working about my challenge group? And I think that in the last 6 to 8 months, there has been this sort of desire, and I totally get it, this desire to sort of like spread our wings and fly individually, right? Like run our own individual challenge groups. And I'm not shaming that at all. But what I see though is when you do that, because I also know your Success Club members, right? So I know that you're running this individual challenge group, but you hit Success Club 4 or 6. So that has to mean that you're only leading maybe 2 to 5 people, some of which are people from before. So in other words, you're spending a lot of your effort on people that aren't new people, right? So you see where I'm going with this? So then I know that if those people aren't converting to coach, then that tells me that they're most likely giving you the objections that I'm hearing you share with me on your mentorship calls, like, oh, I could never do what you do, or I don't have time to be a coach or whatever, because they're seeing you constantly facilitate and handhold that challenge group. I say that with love, to where they don't think that they can do that. Does that make sense? And so it's, in my opinion, it's not a natural habitat for people to want to become coaches and become part of a tribe and be able to pay it forward. When we used to have the 21-day fix system in place, what I loved about it is a brand new coach could come on and know nothing. They could know nothing about anything having to do with coaching, not even know how to enroll somebody, but because they had been part of that group, all they had to do was invite people that they knew to do the same exact thing, right? To just hop into this exact same thing that they just did. And so it was easily duplicatable. So that's how I foresee the virtual gym. And that's what I think I see as sort of the biggest con to what we've been doing, which is sort of trying to spread our wings and fly and run our individual challenge groups. But yet, where are we really going with that right now, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, how is that really serving us in the long run? So I see this as being a way for us to all sort of collaborate on strengths. We all have like really unique areas of expertise, whether it's with food or motivation or training or whatever. So I think this is going to be a really cool way to do that. So what questions do you guys have for me, or that we can talk about, or ideas or whatever?
Jenny, I was thinking when you had talked about the modification thing, what if we do maybe a couple times a month, if we do like a modification or form clinic type of thing, where like people can come if they're having trouble with certain moves, or we can do some sort of video we're watching form. I don't know. I just spitballing, but something along those lines.
Well, I actually had the thought cross my mind the other day about those of us who are like personal trainer certified doing like a squat assessment just to help with their overall form and technique from the traditional squat. And so I had even thought that could be like a live workshop idea, right? Like,
I like that.
You know, I don't know. I would probably say to do something like that once a month. I don't think I don't want to overkill it. I mean, if we're doing a live class and stuff like that, but having people show up for that, like, cause I've always said, right, I think it was in the 80-day obsession group, if anybody wants to send me a video of them doing a squat, but of course nobody does. So if we can at least see them on Zoom, like if we can tell them where to position the camera, we can at least give them general feedback on corrections they can make. And that's a huge value add. Nobody else in a challenge group is, you know what, you want to know the truth is most people are doing squats like this.
Yeah.
At home. And that's the number one pet peeve I have about home workouts is that you have no idea what people are actually doing. Yeah. Right. So we can actually.
Laura, were you watching my push-up video this morning? 100 push-ups and about kick Shanti in the nuts on each side.
Were hard. I know, they were so hard.
I did 100, not 2, and they were like you just demonstrated for the most part.
With the head bobber.
On my knee. Yeah. With my belly wiggling around, but
we
won't go there.
My shoulders are killing me. I did 200 push-ups on that dang thing. I'm like, my neck is sore and I got to teach class tomorrow. I'm like, what the heck?
Sounds like these form videos might be crucial. Yeah, I used to have people come to the gym and the first thing we would do is a squat assessment before they would even take a first class. We would do a fit test assessment and a squat assessment. And every one of them, I can't show you because I can't do full body, but every single one of them I would say, okay, what I'd like for you to do is squat. So we're going to go feet parallel, right underneath your hips. And I just want you to sit down like you're sitting down into a chair and then stand back up, right? And so I would demonstrate and I would, like, I literally said the words feet parallel. And everybody thought their feet were like this, parallel underneath their hips, but they weren't. Most people think their hips are a lot wider than they are. So most people's stance was out here. Or they were this way, pigeon-toed, or their feet were out, right? And they're like, I don't know why my knee bothers me. And they're squatting like this. So, but the point is, though, it's called proprioception, and most people don't understand where their body is in space, and they think that they're doing they think they look like you, but they don't look like you. If you ever watched yourself on video, you're like, I didn't think I looked like that. And so the truth is that it is really helpful for people to have feedback on what they're doing, because number one, for injury purposes, but number two, just because it helps them become more aware of their body in space.
It's also just a benefit of doing some of those live Zoom workouts too. Like I do this all the time, and having taught for a decade in front of a bunch of mirrors, I'm used to looking at myself. And I know, Sarah, you post in your stories sometimes too, like form check. Like when you're videotaping and watching yourself, which a lot of us videotape our workouts, when you're watching yourself, you just naturally start to see that. And I think if we have participants if we start to do these 5 a.m. workout groups or whatever, just informing them as well, use this as an opportunity to watch yourself work out and see what you're doing. You can learn so much from that if they know what they're supposed to be doing, which is where everything else comes in.
Yeah.
Jenny, I have another question too. Everything you talked about at the beginning of the call with recruiting coaches, are you referring to coach account? Or are you talking about working coaches when you say 3 to 4 a month?
I would be shooting for 3 to 4 a month total, because probably only one of them will be interested in the business by matter of odds.
Okay.
But it kind of just depends a little bit on how you how you recruit. Like when I decided that I was going to start recruiting 4 coaches a month, I did so with the mentality that I was going to treat them like first option was always going to be for the business versus first option being discount. So if you start recruiting with the mindset of finding the business builders and then you kind of add the discount folks along the way, that's just added advantage for you, right? But like for me, it's sort of having that mindset of, you know, being comfortable knowing that you have an onboarding system to plug them into, knowing that it's going to be easy and duplicatable for them to invite to something like the virtual gym and to make this business a business. Like having that belief, I guess. You have belief in the challenge group. So having belief that you can bring someone on board that can be successful in a business, treating them that way first versus, hey, do you want a discount? That's going to be the mindset shift that's needed. But I would shoot for 3 to 4 coaches total per month. And my guess is I used to just say, I'm going to send everybody the getting started. Well, I still do. I'm going to send everybody the welcome email. And I would usually get about 1 response out of every 4 that I would send out. So we were looking, actually that brings up something. I'm sorry, somebody just said something, but hang on one second. That brings up something that I forgot to mention. So I really hate numbers, like a lot. And I hate anything that remotely resembles, shut up, anything that remotely resembles, Chris said, math, or anything that has to be figured out. And so it just happens that I married somebody who one of his strengths on the Strength Finder was, what was it, like learner or something? Like he likes to figure things out. So he found this in the champions page, and I will post it it's not up on the Coach Online Office yet, but I will post it in the Rank Attack group. But I don't know if you guys have seen this. First of all, the Elite and Premier Goal Guide that's just every year they come out with that. But this year it looks a little bit different just because the different categories are segmented out, and they've got, you know how they've got this road to elite, they've got the quarterly goals listed for you now at the very top. So the Elite and Premier Goal Guide, it's in the champions page. Hopefully you're in there. And then they also have, based on those quarterly achievements on the road to elite, they have individual tracker sheets for each of these. So for like quarter 1, quarter 2. So in Chris's opinion, you don't necessarily need the first one, the team builder sheet, because it's pretty much the same as the second one, which is the team leader. So in his opinion, you'd be better served working the first half of the year at least on the team leader tracker. It has like 1 extra category than the other one. So don't waste your time like jumping from one to the other. So the team leader qualification tracker, here's what I like about it, is it's got the diagram for you to be constantly referring to your own genealogy and what you've got going on for your sponsors, your drill down. It's got you recording your team volume so that you're aware of what your team volume is on your weak leg. Yeah, pretty much everything you would need to know to build yourself to elite is right here. So this is going to be a valuable asset for you. So if you don't already have it, check it out on the champions page. It's the team leader qualification tracker. And this, along with a couple other things, are going to be incorporated into a group that Natalie Johnson, I need to find out if that's still her name or not. The former Natalie Johnson, who might have a different last name now, she and I have partnered up, and we're going to lead we haven't decided on the name of it yet, but basically like a united leaders group. So her leaders plus you guys, our leaders. And we have some really valuable stuff, I think, to bring to the table. So we're very different in how we handle the business. She's got a personal development coach, very similar to how we work with Amy ourselves. She works with Coit Cooper. So Coit Cooper is going to be doing some things for the leaders, talking to us. Amy's going to be doing some things for us. But we're really focused on like helping you guys master the activities of an elite coach. So that's something that's going to be coming. And actually we're planning on the kickoff call being a week from today. So it'll be Monday night at 9:00. That is, we just solidified that like at 2:00 today. So, but back to virtual gym. Anything else you guys wanted to address or ask?
Yes.
Yeah.
Going back to posting, I really like the more authentic, off the cuff posting. I'm concerned if we just do whoever sees it first, we're always going to end up with the same people posting now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the right answer
Yeah.
is to that, but I just don't want to, I don't want the same people to feel like they're always having to post because, you know, we have early birds and then there's people who, you know, don't get up until later.
Right. So would you guys want to go back to having like a dedicated day, but it's just more of a casual check-in type post versus like a scripted scheduled thing? I mean, I'm open to whatever. I like having, I mean, I'm pretty confident that I want it in the discussion feed and not as a unit, but otherwise I'm open to whatever you guys want to do as far as facilitating that.
I'm open to whatever too. I I like the idea of a day, even if there's multiple people on it. I struggle with alternating like weeks 1 and 3, 2 and 4, that type of thing. So even if like me and Laura have Mondays and I'm an early bird, so I post something in the morning and she posts something later, and not necessarily like you do lead post, but every Monday I know I need to put some sort of content in the virtual gym. For me, having a day that's assigned to me is good for my brain and my schedule so that I know I got to put something in there. That's my day. Whatever it looks like, I'm adding content. Hopefully more often than that, but at least Monday is covered, and having a couple of us on that day might help. So that would be my vote, but I'll do whatever the group wants.
I like that too,
I like
because
that idea.
I think the key is really just going to be
I can go to bed now. No, I'm just kidding.
the key, I think, will just be keeping it casual as far as language. So instead of having something scripted or from a challenge group guide, it will be, you know, like we've been doing the past few days. Okay. So why don't I'll send a message to the bigger group and just make sure, because sometimes people are like not wanting to participate right now because maybe they've got a hectic life at the moment or something. So I will find out if there's anybody that doesn't want in that rotation, and then I'll do that. I'll just do partners. So everybody will have a partner and they can figure out who's posting when and what and whatever. But that doesn't
partner.
say what?
Is it Jackie? You want to be my partner?
Yes. I like having a morning and a later person in. That's
Yeah,
good.
I like that too.
Don't put like me and Rose or Tara together. Or Jennifer.
But that reminds me that we do need, you know, the more content we can populate in there now as we're adding challengers, the better. So if you haven't already, like, make it a point to put a recipe in there or anything that's up your alley, go ahead and start populating in there. We can't have enough, really.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certified for live classes. I'm not certified for virtual classes. So am I still able to teach?
I'm hoping that I'm going to hear back from my liability people about a potential option for, you know, I don't know enough about it as far as like how to add that on or how to purchase that or whatever. But no, I mean, as it stands right now, no. I mean, unless you had liability insurance for virtual classes, no, you wouldn't be able to teach it.
No, I mean, I don't have any because at the Y, it's not required because it's in their establishment. So they hold accountability for whatever were to be happening there. So I didn't have to have any insurance.
Yeah.
And when I worked at the church, I just had people sign liability forms for each of their workouts each time they had it. And if they had one on file, I just brought that file with me every time I taught. But with it being, Laura was just saying that they have different music for virtual classes. That would mean that me playing my Insanity Live music wouldn't be.
It's still all part. No, it's still all part of your Insanity Live. Like when you log into your Insanity Live, you'll start to see the virtual class music list.
Okay.
It's in the same section. It's just listed as virtual.
Yep. So instead of using the music that you would use in your live class, you would just have to use the music that's provided for the virtual version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So that you would have, but if you didn't have, I'm hoping that I hear something from this liability company about what it would cost for, you know, to live. There's a couple things in my mind. Like either they're going to tell me this is what we would cover individual instructors for virtual classes for this amount, and then I can share it with you and Sue and whoever else to see if it's something you're interested in. Or I don't know if they're going to tell me that there's something we can do, because like with my gym, when I owned the gym, we were an LLC, like we were a business entity, and so we had like my instructors were covered under me. And so I don't know if there's a way for me to just turn Body Electric and do an LLC and do something similar in that regard. So we're going to see what they say.
My personal insurance that I have through the ACE certification, I actually got it purposely more of an umbrella insurance for me. It's an umbrella liability, so I could actually teach even in my backyard and be covered.
Mm-hmm.
So it is covered under mine as well.
Yep.
Virtually, because it's wherever I'm teaching.
It sounds like you're high as a
Really
kite.
drunk.
So, but I had to ask about that.
I know you don't know this right now, Laura, but wait, I'm going to screenshot it.
Yeah, the way your face.
It looks like you're having a stroke.
I missed it. You were like this.
And your voice went right along with it.
And your voice was like robotic.
Have another.
Did you even hear anything I said even? Because it like started to freeze right in mid-sentence.
I needed to cry happy tears though. That was good. That was good. Yeah.
Oh my.
All right, I have another I don't even know if this is something we'd want to do, but a question on that note. Would we ever want to do, and would we have to have coverage for this? It may not have to be live even, but like if we were going to do a challenge, like here's a 4-minute Tabata, here's a 5-minute ab challenge workout you can do. Like any of us could just record that and post it on Facebook. So does that have any liability issues, or could we record that type of thing that it's not a Beachbody certified class?
Yeah.
Or would we even want to? I don't know.
I mean, I think I know Chris and I are kind of looking at each other. I know there are people out there that hate traditional Beachbody coaches that post those types of things who aren't certified, just because of that reason. But at the same time, I don't know. What are your thoughts? He's sitting here rolling his eyes at me. What do you think?
It's not like they're doing it live with you in the moment, most likely.
Well, it doesn't matter. I think she's
Well,
just.
I know what I'm saying. Like if you post them doing a squat challenge or something like that, it's their decision to go along with the challenge. They're not doing it along with you. Like they're not going through the insanity round with you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's not a matter. It's not the same as like a Beachbody live class,
Right.
like not being certified. But at the same time, like
Gray.
it's a gray area. Like, should a non-certified trainer be, a non-certified person be teaching somebody a squat?
Right.
Probably not, but they do every day. So my feeling is, it's kind of just like, it's kind of the same thing as when we share, like, which I don't ever do, but when a coach shares like their income, right? They have to put the income disclaimer. But if they say like, I earned blah, 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 they don't necessarily have to put the income disclaimer because it's their personal experience, right? So it's different. So I think you could most likely say, today we're going to do like a wall squat challenge, right? Join me at 3 p.m. to see who can hold the wall squat the longest. And then at 3 p.m. you could live stream yourself doing the wall squat, right? And like with a timer or whatever. So I think it's in how you present it. Like if you present it like you're a certified trainer and you're not a certified trainer, then you're in sort of the dark zone. But if it's more like, hey, we're going to do this wall squat challenge, who can hold it the longest? There's nobody that's going to necessarily be like, are you a certified trainer that can do that? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's probably the key. But my biggest concern, not concern, but my biggest checkbox is just making sure that those of us who are live certified are covered to teach virtually in the virtual gym. So I know Laura is through ACE, and I know that I can do it. So we can start there. But as we figure this out through talking to my liability people, making sure we have that covered, my hope is to then create sort of a group message strand of those instructors who are going to be teaching the live classes in the virtual gym. And then we would sort of communicate just like we would in an actual gym setting, right? Like who wants to teach what days, what class format do you want to do, you know, whatever. So in my experience, like when we owned our brick and mortar, the Saturday morning workouts were always a big hit, and they were always when, you know, people weren't working most of the time. Like that 9 a.m. time frame was always a good time frame to have Insanity. It was always a well-populated class. And people kind of just go from there on with their day. So I could see that being a popular thing, to just have a consistent Saturday morning workout. It would be something that our team could just have the expectation that on Saturday morning they're going to work out live, right, with the virtual gym people. So that sort of is the idea in my head, and that helps us planning wise, knowing, you know, the first Saturday of every month we're going to do our live workout, and then afterwards we're going to do a Q&A on what it means to be a coach, just to have that consistency. But obviously there will always be people that can't, you know, they work on Saturday or whatever, so having something else thrown in there on occasion isn't a bad idea either. So see, but in my opinion, really, like, you can't join any gym out there. You can't pay. I mean, a drop-in fee around here. Well, I mean, we used to charge, I think it was like $14 a drop-in. Like the yoga studio nearby charges like $16 a drop-in for a class. So for someone to just be on Shakeology product or performance product and have access to the classes, the meal plans, which they would normally have to get through a nutritionist, like, this is ridiculous. So don't apologize if someone says like, well, I don't want to spend that much money per month. Well, what do you think they're going to spend to join a box gym and not have support, not have nutrition guidance, not have, you know what I mean? Like, so this, in my opinion, is a huge opportunity. And I think if we present it that way with confidence, and if we're using that language of, you know, the gym model, subscription, membership, all of that, we're going to be looking at big shifts in our business for sure. Did you guys remember the girl that, I don't remember who it was, sometime in November maybe, there was a girl that was on the National Wake Up Call that talked about how she ran a virtual gym, and she didn't do any sort of challenge groups, program specific challenge groups. She just ran an ongoing virtual gym. And that was the first time that it crossed my mind that we should do something like this. She didn't really go into any detail, so I'm not really sure what exactly she does or who she was. But I think this is, I told Chris tonight, I'm like, the individual challenge group concept still makes sense. Like, please don't hear me wrong. Like, if you know what I mean? Like, continue to do that. Run a Transform 20 group, whatever. But in my opinion, you know, that made total sense when we were a DVD selling coach. When we had a single program to deliver to somebody. When we got somebody on board with 21 Day Fix and Shakeology, it made sense to have a 21 Day Fix group. They got their DVDs in the mail. Everybody did the same program. We all did it for 3 weeks. Now, what do people buy? People buy a subscription to a Netflix of workouts. So if we want them to stick with that subscription, that full year subscription, we need a subscription model challenge group, right? Which is the virtual gym concept. Does that make sense? I think it's smart. We'll see. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, you know, I've actually been running something similar to this. Like, I haven't run a specific program group for a long time. And I mean, obviously it's going to be a little bit different. And the way that I'm actually even looking at moving some of my people over is I'm telling them that this is like the upgraded version because I can tell you that I've had so much more camaraderie in this group running it throughout the year, and not having a specific program. Yes, there are times where it, you know, would dull down a little bit, but you add new people in there and it's crazy. Like the stuff that people are sharing, like intimately about their life, you don't get that in just a 21 day group. You don't.
Yeah.
There's a different trust in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we had the gym, we had a Facebook group that was just the RevX online group, and it was all the members from the gym, only it was online. And this is exactly what I provided to them, right? Like they were getting the live classes in the gym, but otherwise I was providing the meal plans, the accountability, the check-ins, all that kind of stuff. And those people thrived. So I see this as being a huge opportunity. But, you know, we've got ideas behind this that are not for discussion tonight necessarily, but just to sort of plant into your mind. If we think about this from the perspective, like if you think of yourself as a gym owner, and that's how I want you to think about it. If you think about yourself as like one of the founders of this gym, right? Like you're opening your gym doors. There are so many opportunities that you as an individual can leverage, just like you could leverage with the challenge group, right? You could always put out a $20 Amazon gift card with purchase of a challenge pack, right? In this case, what I foresee for me personally, like some ideas that I've had, last year when 80 Day Obsession released, over 50% of the people that ordered 80 Day Obsession challenge packs from me purchased the mega pack, the $400 plus mega pack, because that was what I positioned first. That to me makes sense for this type of model, right? If people are already asking, the second question out of their mouth is, how much does it cost to remain a member? How much does it cost to, continue to subscribe or continue to be a member after the first month? What do you think I'm going to tell them? The first answer I'm going to say is, well, this is what it would cost monthly, or upfront, you can pay for your first 90 days with that mega challenge pack, and it would actually save you X. So it would either be 160 plus 130 plus 130, or it would be 400, whatever it is, for the mega pack for 90 days, right? Does that make sense? So the mega pack will now, in my opinion, be positioned better because people are automatically going to be thinking about that subscription concept, right? Things that we can do for our live classes. If we have Saturday live classes, we can offer, just like a gym would, we can offer, 2 guest passes. Each person gets 2 guest passes per month, and they can invite somebody to join our live workout to try it out, right? Is that not a perfect way to add to your network, right? To add to the referral system. That's what we used to do. We used to have Saturdays where you could always bring a friend on Saturdays. And so if I could get somebody in the door at my gym that wouldn't have normally come in with a friend, most likely I was going to get them to convert to membership or punch card or whatever. So we can start to think like gym owners, and we can start to put those same practices into play here to our advantage. And this is something that no other coach is doing out there that I know of, that is doing with their team, I should say. So I think we have a lot of power in this. So I'm super excited about it. And I know based on your guys' individual goals for the year, I've never felt more confident. I feel like, we can choose between spinning our wheels on the same thing we've been doing and feeling like we have to 10x something that is already taking a lot of our time, or we can create a well-oiled machine and a well-oiled system that sort of does the work for us, right? Which is why we've put energy into creating automation systems for 2B Mindset, creating automation for onboarding coaches, so that we can focus our time and energy on this. Because if we can get people in the door here, and we can really focus on creating that vibe and tribe that I know we can, everything else should fall into place. All right, cool. Well, this is recorded. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know. I'm sure we'll be talking more about this in the near future, but plan on next Monday at 9 o'clock. It'll be a co-led call with Natalie and her leaders. And Wednesday night this week, we're going to be talking vision. I'll be talking a little bit about virtual gym Wednesday night, but more just about general vision for the team for this year. So I really appreciate you guys hopping on here and buying into this vision. And we'll keep connected in the chat. Have a good night.